Well, welcome in everybody. Welcome in to our first Queer Sunday School panel. Woo woo! Exciting. So exciting. All right, so before we get started, let's have Charmaine lead us with a guided meditation, and then we'll at the same time we'll have Androgeny Angel perform a Reiki session for self-love.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael, and thank you all for tuning in today. So we're just going to start by having just a couple minutes of quiet meditation and breath work. So I'm going to lead you guys through that. So go ahead and get comfortable, whether you're seated, lying down, whatever is comfortable for you in this moment. Go ahead and close your eyes. And let's take a deep breath together in through the nose and let it out through the mouth. And we'll take another deep breath in through the nose and let it out through the mouth. Just take a few moments here to connect with your breath and with your body. Just noticing how you're showing up to this space today. Just see if you might be holding any tension in your body. See where your mind is. Is your mind racing, thinking about other things? Just bring your awareness right here to your breath, to your body. Just notice the parts of your body that are connected to the earth, connected to the ground. And just feel yourself being supported. Feel yourself being supported by the ground beneath you. Feeling supported by whatever intention that led you to be here today. Just trust that you are in a safe space. That you are being held in this circle, in this panel, in this discussion. All about self-love. And go ahead and just send yourself some love and compassion for being here today. Just allowing yourself to be fully present. Giving gratitude for waking up today, for the technology that we have to connect with each other online. And giving thanks for the breath that is in your body that is supporting you here. And let's take another deep breath all together here in through the nose and out through the mouth. And just from my heart to yours, I give thanks for you being here today. And I hope that we all have a beautiful and open and honest conversation and connection. And whenever you're ready, you may open your eyes.
Thank you so much for that. That was beautiful. Well, let's start with Sharmain. So what are your pronouns? What's your zodiac sign? And what's your relationship status?
Nosy. No, I'm just kidding. No, my name is Sharmain Denise. My pronouns are she, her. I currently live in Portland, Oregon right now. My zodiac sign, so I'm a Virgo sun, I'm a Pisces moon, and I'm a Sagittarius rising. So I got all this mutable energy here. So, and right now we're about to head into a full moon in Virgo. I'm feeling all types of feelings right now. So there's a lot moving through me. And I'm single. So
Okay,
thank you.
good. Single and mingling or just single?
Single and focusing on my own self-love.
So can you tell us a little bit about your spiritual journey and how you came to identify as a spiritualist?
Yeah. So the major kind of catalyst that kind of led me here happened back in 2018 2019. I was in a toxic relationship, and I had quit my job, and I was just very, very unhappy just with everything that was kind of unfolding in my life. Like everything kind of fell apart. And that was the ultimate catalyst that helped me kind of understand what wounds I was still carrying from childhood, and just how much of self-love I didn't necessarily have for myself, because it was definitely showing up in my relationships with others and how I was interacting with the world. So that kind of led me down to seek out a life coach, to get into therapy. And I got serious about my own meditation journey. And meditation is ultimately like, that was the main practice that saved me, to be honest with you. So that's what kind of led me here. So without getting into the details, that's like the overview.
Yeah, meditation is a lifesaver. I totally agree with that. So are there, other than meditation, are there any other particular traditions or practices that you draw on or resonate with?
Yeah, meditation is my go-to. Yoga, and specifically yoga that connects with the breath. So not necessarily, not really for the exercise, but really connecting to the roots of yoga and the breath. And dance, whole lot of dance, ecstatic dance, praise dance, all types of dance. So I was raised in a Christian household. I have that whole kind of background, but there's some things from, I love gospel music. There's still kind of things that are kind of tied to religion that I've kind of tweaked out and like worked it for myself. But yeah.
So my last question for you is, what is most important to you in life?
So in terms of like values, safety, freedom, connection, love, and belonging, like those are my core values. That's where I kind of lead from the heart space, in anything that I do. If I don't feel safe, I don't do it. Understanding that we are innately free, that nothing outside of us, we're innately free. And no matter what the world looks like, that's what I walk into and bring forth. Connecting with others, we have the beautiful power of the internet to connect with people all over the world. And obviously love, any actions or anything that I do, it's rooted in love, and feeling a sense of belonging. As humans, we're not meant to do life alone. And finding spaces where I feel valued and feel a place of belonging, like that's very important to me. So thank you. Those are good questions.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to Langston. You're ready? So,
Hey everyone, yes.
so tell us your pronouns, your zodiac sign, and your relationship status.
So I accept all pronouns. My zodiac sign, I'm a Pisces sun, Leo moon, and Pisces rising. So fish sandwich. But yeah, I'm very, very, very much a Pisces, very, very watery. And what else? Relationship status. So I'm with someone who's very special to me right now, but I'm currently just moving through this initiatory period of my year in white in Lukumi. So during that year, you can't actually make a formal relationship commitment to anyone. So we're in this little bit of a weird in-between period.
Very interesting. What's funny is we share um, sun and moon signs.
Oh, really?
I'm also
That's
Pisces sun,
wonderful.
Leo moon. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your spiritual journey and how you came to identify as a spiritualist.
Yeah, so I was one of those kids when I was a little kid who was like talking to invisible people no one else could see. My parents would come up and be like, "Who are you talking to?" I'm like, "A lady. She says so, this blah 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 blah." You know, I go into messages and stuff. Thankfully, my parents, I didn't have the typical story of my parents like shutting that down because my dad is a Zen Buddhist priest, my mother's an energy healer, so they're very supportive of me, even though my relationship with spirituality is very different than both of theirs. But just living in the culture we live in, that kind of sensitivity often gets trained out of you. So just from my own woundedness, I grew up in Washington Heights in like a really wonderful environment with a lot of really interesting people from all over the world, a lot of other Black folks, and then I got sort of deposited into a predominantly white neighborhood after my family moved. And so one of the ways I kind of cope with some of the like bullying or racism I experienced was a lot of dissociation.
Mm.
And so I kind of preserved my relationship with spirit in fantasy, like reading fantasy books, connecting with the imaginary world, playing imaginary games. But I didn't remember like my gifts that I had when I was a kid. Like it was more stories that my parents told me later on. And so it wasn't until after college that I had a lot of chronic health issues I was facing, a lot of emotional issues I was facing, and I really decided to start taking seriously moving on my own healing journey. So at the time I was working in film and I just sort of stopped, got like a data entry job so I could just make, that was like a job I could find. I was having trouble finding jobs. I was graduating during the recession. And what I found was animist traditions and shamanism really called to me, as well as traditions of the African diaspora. So I received some healing sessions from these shamanic practitioners, and they really showed me a lot of the roots in my sort of spirit at the level of the soul of some of the wounding I was experiencing, some of the chronic health issues I had. And following, like, integrating those sessions really led me on some initiatory experiences where helping spirits started coming in dreams. People started coming up on the street to me saying, "You need to have this object," like handing me like medicine objects and things like that I'd like seen in a dream the night before. And just all this weird stuff started happening that really led me to commit to this process of apprenticing and with training programs and healers for the last 10 years, just to become a shamanic practitioner myself. And I really didn't enter into that because I thought I wanted to heal other people, more just I was following the path of my own healing. And as I did, more and more people started coming to me wanting help as well.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. So, other than shamanism, are there any other particular traditions or practices that you resonate with?
Yeah, so my core practice, I do a lot of work with different somatic modalities for helping people work with their body and their breath and their imagination to move inwards and show up for aspects of them that are stuck in the choices they made as children to survive. Like these moments where you feel like if I don't do this, I'm gonna die. Because for a child, not being loved, being isolated, being abandoned, being banished, all can feel like the threat of death. So I
Mm.
help people kind of show up for those parts of them that are stuck in those moments and liberate that energy back in service of the wholeness of who they are.
Wow, thank you. Thank you for sharing. That's really beautiful. So what's most important to you in life?
I think that answer changes every day. Maybe, I guess, if there's one thing that's most important that I feel most devoted to right now, it's that I don't want younger people growing up with no true adults and elders in their lives. I feel like I was really lucky with a lot of the adults I had, and still so many adults in our culture are just walking around with a lot of the wounds we experienced in childhood, so sort of like the emotional bodies of children. And then that causes harm to children because kids are just trying to be kids and we're cutting them off the same ways we were harmed.
Yeah.
So I really would love just to see a world in which kids could be kids because adults were being adults.
I love that. Yeah, I totally resonate with that. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you. So let's go on to Androgeny. How you doing?
Greetings, greetings all.
So tell us your pronouns, your zodiac sign, and your relationship status.
Well, zodiac signs, and excuse the little thing that's going on, Zoom is acting crazy on my end. But my zodiac signs is I am a Cancer sun, Cancer moon, Virgo rising, and my Venus is in Cancer. So I am majority water in my chart. I'm sorry, what was your other question?
Yeah, your pronouns and your relationship status.
Pronouns, I don't really go by pronouns. Call me androgyny, call me he, call me she. I never really got into it just because I know I'm an androgynous being and we all hold masculine and feminine energy. As far as my relationship status, I am as single can be.
Single and mingling or just single?
No, just single. Spirit got me clean right now. Spirit's been having me clean for the last 5-6 years. So yeah, apparently there's a reasoning for it, and when that time comes, yeah, it's on and pop.
Period. I resonate with that. Sometimes we just, we have to take it easy and focus on ourselves. So can you tell us a little bit about your spiritual journey and how you came to identify as a self-lovepreneur?
I actually didn't start going on my spiritual journey consciously not until 2016. But as a kid, I would always have very vivid dreams. If a family member always transitioned over, that family member will always come to me. But as a kid, I'm thinking, okay, there's a dead person. I'm feeling something. I don't like this feeling. It's scary. So I pushed it away. So when 2016 hit, I started going on my journey, but it wasn't until 2018 or the end of 2017 when I full blown consciously went full force on my spiritual journey. But I've never been the type to follow religion. I always had it in the back of my head that, okay, something's not right with this. This person is telling me how I'm supposed to be, but they going ahead and they sleeping with, their secretary, in which I had experience with that. That is what happened at my first church that I joined. The pastor was having an affair with the secretary. So it's like, well, why am I going to listen to you and you sleeping with your secretary? Like, nah, something's not right. So I never did buy into religion. I've always been free spirit.
So are there any particular spiritual traditions or anything like that that you really resonate with?
I definitely meditate. It's meditation. It's Reiki. I'm actually going to get my mastership this year in Reiki. And I just focus on my relationship with spirit, with my higher self, with my spirit guides and my angels. That is what I just follow and go based upon.
I love that. So, last question: what's most important to you in life?
Myself. I can't help anybody else if I'm not taken care of. If I'm not taking care of myself, I can't take care of everyone else. And there are lots of people that I want to take care of. So yeah, it's myself. I'm the first and foremost, most important thing.
Yeah, heard. Resonate with that. Thank y'all so much for sharing. I'll go through it too. So my pronouns are he, him. My zodiac sign, as I said before, I'm Pisces sun, Leo moon, Taurus rising. So I got a little bit of, yeah, I got some fire in me, but also I think I'm pretty balanced. Because I've got like that Leo sort of drive, but I also have like the Pisces sort of like I don't know how to explain it, like that sort of like what Langston was talking about, having that sort of fantasy, you know what I mean, and seeing, um, yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but and then the Taurus part of me, I think, makes people see me as someone who's like very chill, very calm, and I can quite be like that. Um, my relationship status, my husband is in the chat right now, so I am happily partnered. My spiritual journey, so man, I I didn't really know much about spirituality until about 6, 7 years ago. I didn't really practice anything. Um, I was just kind of like going through life, having issues and not really understanding why, not understanding like what was going on with me. And then very first time I left the country, left US, I went to India with a partner. And that's kind of where I learned about like deep spirituality. And I got blessed by a Baba who he put something in my hand. He gave me some kind of energy, and from then on it was like something clicked in me, and it became like, I guess, a knowing in myself that there was something bigger, and then I started doing Vipassana. I don't know if anybody's heard of Vipassana meditation. It's like so you go to they have centers all around the world, and usually it's a 10-day silent meditation. So you go to a place and you don't talk and you just meditate almost 12 hours a day. And the first time I did it, one of the most difficult things I've ever done in my life, but getting through that process made me so strong within myself. And then I did it 2 more times after that. And yeah, I think meditation, like I said, meditation saved my life. It really helped me to understand where a lot of my anger was coming from, and understand how, on a biochemical level, understand how like anger and certain emotions kind of like creep up in your body. And I was able to start recognizing those things and understanding like, okay, you know, when I'm angry, my heart starts to beat faster, and I start to sweat, or I start to, do these things, and now I can stop. I can stop myself before, I go as far as like I used to. And I used to have huge anger problems, especially like something would make me upset, and I would be upset all day, and through the meditation and through those, teaching, I could, lessen the amount of time that I would be upset about something. And so that's kind of my spiritual journey. As far as like spiritual traditions or practices, I definitely resonate with a lot of like Hindu culture, simply because that was kind of like my first entrance into that. And yoga as well. I think mostly though for me is it's meditation, like absolutely 100%. And what's most important to me in life, I would say community, connection, you know, self-love obviously being one of the big things, but I think for me, I really find it important to connect with people and bring people together. That has been like my journey for the past couple of years has just been trying to create spaces where I can bring people together, and here we are. So that being said, Langston, it's time for a little dance party. So you want to hit us up with some music?
Yes, let's do it. Okay.
I'm ready to dance.
Yeah, look, I know you love your man, but do you love yourself? I know you love your girl, but do you love yourself? I know you love your parents, but do you love yourself? You love being a parent, but do you love yourself? I know you love your friends, but do you love yourself? You love making them ends, but do you love yourself? Yeah, yeah, do you love yourself? Do you love yourself? Look, I see you going around feeling everybody's taint. You wake up in the morning, make sure everybody's straight. Smile on your face, but they don't notice that you drain. You ain't made no time to love yourself in 90 days. Look, I know that you lying when you say that you're okay. It is not a sin for you to say you need a break, but you will break if you don't notice it, okay? Don't pay everybody and still owe yourself, okay? Okay, now, drinking ain't gon' fix it. Smoking ain't gon' fix it. Nip tucking ain't gon' fix it. Fucking ain't gon' fix it. If you don't do the work, I promise you, nothing gon' fix it. You gotta start feeding yourself love more than biscuits. I know you love your man, but do you love yourself? I know you love your girl, but do you love yourself? I know you love your parents, but do you love yourself? You love being a parent, but do you love yourself? I know you love your friends, but do you love yourself? You love making them ends, but do you love yourself? Yeah, yeah, do you love yourself? Oh man. Do you love yourself? Love. How many people that's listening to me right now can admit that they struggle with this? So many people out there trying to cope with depression but act like it doesn't exist. You go to work and go over your shit, telling your friends that you over the shit, but when you get home you crying yourself to sleep cause you tired of covering it with Xanax, Molly Percocet, till it burn your chest. I get it though, I dove in Henny bottles, feeling so depressed, can't hold the stress. Almost lost my family, I still hold regret. Shit, had to forgive myself so I could show the rest. It don't matter who you love if you don't love yourself. It takes a solid ass person to say I want some help. Just because they X you out don't mean you can't excel. Being down don't mean you're done cause falling ain't a fail. I know you love your man, but do you love yourself? I know you love your girl, but do you love yourself? I know you love your parents, but do you love yourself? You love being a parent, but do you love yourself? I know you love your friends, but do you love yourself? You love making them ends, but do you love yourself? Yeah, yeah, do you love yourself? Do you love yourself?
That was a whole vibe. I love it. All right, let's start our panel discussion. So anybody can answer this question. You feel free to unmute whenever you want. How do you define self-love, and what role does it play in your spiritual practice? It's a big question.
I'll answer one. Self-love is mastership. It is mastership of yourself, and it is mastership of love. We are all trying to master love. We are all trying to master ourselves. And when we put those two together, we're actually mastering two separate things all at once. as far as the role that it plays in my spiritual practices, it plays every role, because every spiritual practice that I do, I have the intentions of, okay, this is going to better myself. This is going to heal myself. This is going to help me embrace myself more. So self-love and spiritual practices are one and one with me. Self-love is just love in motion.
I love that.
And I use it with everything.
I love that. Anybody else want to take that question?
I mean, besides obviously love of oneself, right? Like that's, but for me, it's like having a deep appreciation for my own worth and for my own well-being. In terms of like how that plays into my spiritual practice, just like kind of androgyny stuff, like it goes hand in hand for me. Understanding that the relationship that I have with myself is the most important relationship I will have in life. And I take myself everywhere. And if I'm not right with me, you know, it's going to show up in my relationships with other people, because at the end of the day, like we are teaching each other, you know, we teach each other how to love ourselves. And if I'm not right with me, you know, how am I able to show up and provide that same kind of love to someone else if I haven't done it for myself, you know? So for me, in terms of like my spiritual practice, like it does go hand in hand. My meditation is me loving me. It's me showing up for me. And, you know, and I do that out of love. So it really, it goes hand in hand. And yeah, that's, and kind of loving all the parts of me, even the things that I don't necessarily like want to show others, is loving the light and the dark, right? And embracing all of that. So yeah, anyway.
I totally resonate with that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Anybody else want to take it? Oh, go ahead.
Thank you for what you both shared. I think one thing that can be, I think you already gave these great definitions, so I can say a little bit, but I'll say one, I feel it can be very dangerous, some of these like pop kind of psychology ideas like we get from like RuPaul's Drag Race or something, where like, how are you going to love someone if you can't love yourself? You know, I don't think that's true necessarily. There's a lot of ways that we learn to love through others demonstrating love to us. And we can even learn to love ourselves through showing up for others, you know, and seeing like maybe it's hard to really direct that compassionate, loving gaze to ourselves, but if we practice doing that with others, it can help guide us in learning to do that for ourselves. I think build that muscle. There's this saying that I've heard one time: if you're hungry, become bread. Like if you don't have bread, become bread, in a sense. And of course that can go in the other direction where you can get too much into the giving and never resourcing yourself, and that's not good either. It's come from this place of martyrdom. But I think sometimes it can be really toxic to think like, oh, the reason, like I have to wait to connect with others until I have this deep love of myself, and that's just not true. But I do find that for me, a lot of self-love is about the sense of accepting ourselves exactly as we are, which isn't some like thing we can just choose to do. Like it's a really easy thing to say, hey, you just got to accept yourself. And like, great, you know, if I could do that, I would have already done that. But for me, it's not a passive thing or just a choice we can make, but rather this muscle we build over time through in each moment by moment, noticing, what am I feeling in this moment? Can I show up to that feeling with compassion and curiosity versus shame or blame or judgment? And remembering that sense of compassion and curiosity is always just one step away. Because even if we're feeling something different than compassion and curiosity, we can invite that part of us that's feeling that other something forward to be in conversation with us. And then we're back in the curiosity and compassion again. Like if we're feeling shame, can you invite forward that part of you that feels that shame and say, hey, I see you there. Let's have a dialogue for a moment. So for me, that's a lot. The practice of self-love for me is that willingness to keep noticing, when am I feeling something for myself other than compassion and curiosity? And am I willing to come into conversation with what's arising there versus just sort of like trying to push it down or exile it or becoming completely identified with it, that I think that's the whole of me, that shame or that blame or that judgment.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that, because you know, I what I was gonna say is I think a lot of it too is just being aware, you know, trying to learning how to understand yourself, you know, and understanding like when that compassion and curiosity is not there, because I think some people wouldn't even recognize that, right? Some of us live so obliviously, and we live, you know, yeah, obliviously, and we just choose not to see those things when they're arising. And I think part of that self-love is just trying to understand yourself and be aware of the things that are coming up for you, you know. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing, you guys. That was beautiful. So how has your understanding of self-love evolved over time, and what have been some of the key moments of experiences that have shaped that? Anybody can take it.
I'll go again. As far, oh gosh, this we're just gonna have to do that. As far as my understanding of self-love and how it evolved, I didn't have a sense of self-love. Growing up, it was just one of those things where, you know, yeah, you love other people. Yeah, you're supposed to love yourself, but you need to, you know, love these people more. So I didn't really have a good concept of what self-love was. It wasn't until 2016 that I started grasping onto that concept, going on my own spiritual journey. But what really shaped my evolution in self-love was when I was incarcerated. I was incarcerated for 6 weeks. My landlord assaulted me. I defended myself. They arrested me. And it was me being incarcerated. That's when I really started diving into self-love and like, okay, what is going on here? My career just went down the cracker. What am I supposed to do? And that was when Spirit said, no, you're going to focus on you.
Mm.
So that was a catalyst to where I'm at right now.
Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else want to take that question?
Yeah, I'll share. So this self-love, you know, it's an ever-changing growth journey. It feels like the work is never done. You know, looking back on my own kind of life experiences, kind of similar to what Androgeny shared, is that I realized that I didn't really have a lot of self-love for myself. Like growing up, knowing that I was a lesbian and like always trying to hide that and spending the majority of my, you know, young adolescence, young adulthood, like really trying to hide that and like run away from myself. But it's like, what does it look like running away from yourself? I take myself everywhere, you know, and realizing that a lot of my anger and sadness and things I would project out onto the world and to others, you know, was just coming from a place of shame, of deep shame. And one of the kind of key moments and catalysts for me was one, coming out. That was one thing, that was part of it. And then trying to navigate, okay, now that I've accepted this about myself, I've shared this with the important people in my life that I wanted to share that with. What does that mean now? Like how does this change things? And that was a whole process of learning, okay, what does my sexual identity, like, what does that mean for me? How am I showing up in the world? And still not really understanding how to give myself the love that I so wanted. And growing up in a single parent home, like I knew my mother loved me, but the nurturing part, a lot of things I was still kind of missing. And I didn't really know how to give myself. So I kind of shared in the beginning, like my toxic relationship that I got out of in 2019, like that was the major moment for me, because it kind of forced me to look inward and to see the parts of myself that I tried to run away from for the longest time. And those feelings of shame and guilt and deep anger and sadness, all of it came flooding back all at once, and just feeling very raw and lost and not really knowing what to do. And you know, that was a defining moment for me to figure out, like, okay, I got to work from the inside out. How do I do that? How do I address these emotions and feelings that I've tried to bury, and now they're coming up and I don't even know what to do? So that's what kind of led me down this self-love and healing journey. And, you know, a lot of my spiritual practices have definitely laid the foundation for that work. And it continues to unfold as I continue to learn things about myself, because we're human. And that always happens, you know, as we continue to experience the world and move through the world. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I totally resonate with that. 100%. Anybody else?
Yeah, I really appreciate both yours. Oh, sorry. Did Adrian, you want to share?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. I really appreciate both your stories and what you're sharing, that it's often not about just like these big epiphany moments, but the way those epiphanies put you back on this slow incremental journey of just daily showing up, and some days not being able to show up in that same way. But you know, for me, if I think of one of these pivotal moments, it was definitely an end of a relationship where I reached a point where I was like sort of essentially doing everything in the relationship, like, you know, doing all the cooking, the cleaning, the bringing in money, you know, like literally everything. And my partner at the time was still pretty resentful that I wasn't doing more. Like there was things that he was still wanting me to do. And I was so exiled from my own anger because of some experiences growing up where I learned it wasn't safe to express my anger, that I just kept thinking, well, I'll just grow more. I'll just keep healing more. You know, it doesn't matter that I'm feeling my boundaries constantly being trampled upon and like not honored, and include by myself, really, first and foremost. And so really my community in that moment, my spiritual community in that moment, took me aside. And it's because had been watching my transformational and healing journey over like 5 years together. And they said, you know, we see that you're enabling this person at this point. You know, like you're not, and this is many years ago now, I think about 6 years ago or something, but they just saw it. They really helped me to open my eyes to that, even though I was so afraid for their safety. At the root, when I really turned inward, it was like this avoidance of my own creative life force energy that I was then instead pouring into my partner as a way to deny my own, you know, relationship with that part of me. And I think for a lot of queer folks, especially for me, you know, we learn that our creativity isn't safe to share and express early on because it's so connected to like our sexuality, our life force energy. We're like to keep that part of our place kind of private or separate. And so this relationship actually really helped me in some ways see how I've been abandoning that part of myself as I learned to do to survive early on, and start to come back into relationship with it over time. So the self-love part really ended up being not just the sort of inner showing up, but then the fiercely creating space and time for expression in my life of my creative gifts. And I'm still working on that now in a lot of different ways.
Thank you so much for that, Langston. That was beautiful. I resonate with that too. Anybody else want to take that one?
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. Yeah, thank you all for the gems you're sharing and being vulnerable. You know, as I'm sitting here thinking about like self-love and like what it means for me, It's definitely a process of moving forward and going backwards at the same time. I was thinking about like, was there a time when I genuinely loved myself and not had to work at it, right? And I remember as a child, when just being a child, like the pure essence of who I am before all the filters, before, my parents say you don't do this, you don't do that, or you get in school and all these things tell you who you shouldn't be, but all you do is show up as yourself, right? And so understanding that also I need to get back to that child, but also move forward to who the child was supposed to be. And so, yeah, self-love is that journey, that everyday journey of getting back to who you were. I understand that not everybody has that, that experience. But for me personally, it's getting back to who little Adrian was, that creative person who didn't mind playing with dolls, didn't mind drawing, singing, dancing, expressing myself in my purest form without thought of how I'm perceived. And so that's what self-love is for me. And I realize as I've been on my journey, you come in contact with people. When people enter your life, they can have a positive or negative effect in your life. And you have to choose which one you want. And I've chosen so many bad people in my life, thinking that that's love, thinking that's what I deserve. Because we're told, especially about sexuality and then being Black and all these things, that it's not right. And so I have learned to accept. And I'm in a season where I no longer want to accept what is given. I want to, one, stand in what I deserve as far as who I am and what God put me on this earth to do, and express myself the way that God chose me to do it. And yeah, that's what self-love looks like for me.
Thank you for sharing that, babe. Yeah, that's deep. That's really deep. So next question. How do you balance the need to prioritize your self-care and self-love with the demands of work, family, and other things, like other commitments in your life?
As far as I'm lucky. I'm lucky when it comes to the balancing. One, I don't have any children. Well, I don't have any physical children. And, and it's just myself and my parents. So I'm lucky enough to go ahead and infuse my self-love with my work. Everything that I do when it comes to my job, I'm infusing my self-love into it. So prime example is I do a challenge every month. So last month was the I Love You Bitch challenge. So I went on camera and every single day, I'm telling myself I love myself. I'm giving myself a reasoning why I love myself. This month's challenge is gratitude is my attitude. So every day I'm going on and I'm expressing what I'm thankful for, what I'm grateful for. So I'm lucky enough where I'm in a space where I can just solely focus on me and I can infuse every single thing when it comes to self-love into my work, into my conversations that I have with my parents, conversations that I have with other loved ones. So I'm just lucky that I'm in that type of space. And not a lot of people have that luxury of, oh, I can infuse everything I do with, my job and my family, because it's just me and it's just them. I don't have any other responsibilities. So for me, I infuse everything. I infuse it together.
Okay. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Honestly, I think that we could, even with our kids and with our, other work commitments and everything. I think we can absolutely do the same, infuse self-love in those things. I think that just love in general, is something that permeates everything. No matter what you're doing, no matter who you are, no matter what kind of job you have, it's something that, unless I guess work for, I don't know, but I really feel that, it's something that you can truly infuse in everything. I mean, even the way, like when I learned about meditation, right? And Vipassana, one of the things that they have you do is like when obviously you have to eat every day, right? And even while you're eating, you're meditating and you're taking mindful bites, and even, while you're sleeping mindfully and and I think that all of that is part of love and self-love, just giving yourself that opportunity to enjoy every single moment. And that's what I got. Anybody else want to take that question? Should I repeat the question?
So,
Go ahead.
so y'all know I'm on 2 devices. I'm bootlegging. So, so I'm gonna catch y'all up. I'll go fast forward. So I've been in 2 dramatic situations, which led me to change my lifestyle. And this was a question that brought up to me by a youth I work with as a virtual assistant. They said, "How can you say that you love me unconditionally, but you're in a condition?" And I told them, "Easy. I'm talking to you now. Every time you talk to me, don't you get a feeling of happiness?" And they said, "Yeah." I said, "Don't you get the feeling of you gonna break something today, not burning the wrong shit down, but burn the right shit down?" And they go, "Hell yeah." And I said, "There you go." I said, "My self-love is knowing that I planted something inside you that's going to grow and you're going to help the world." And when I tell somebody, I love y'all all unconditionally. Y'all don't know me from the soup can, barbershop, and none of that. But I love y'all unconditionally because I'm learning such different self-love and how the way y'all doing your self-love journey and it's giving me a better perspective. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, Quincy. Thank you for sharing.
And thank you, Quincy.
Anybody else want to take that question? No?
You were about to speak, right, Sharmain?
Oh yeah, sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. Oh, I love this. Yeah, in terms of balance, I am just very grateful to be where I am now versus where I was before. And that is one, in the question, prioritizing my own self-care and self-love. If things don't feel right, I'm not going to do it. It's as simple as that. Because in terms of my own self-care and self-love, my peace is also wrapped up in that. So if it's something that's going to disturb my peace, I just don't do it. So that for me is kind of easy to balance because I have navigated through things that don't work for me and it's fallen by the wayside. So for me, like my life has gotten a lot simpler in how I show up in my family, how I show up in the work that I do. I have my own business, but I also go to a job, but it's a job that I actually chose and I'm not doing it out of like, oh, this looks nice and I'm trying to please other people. I'm showing up very, very differently because of where I am in my own journey. So things have fallen in place the way that they need to. So nothing feels like an obligation or a demand. This is what I'm choosing to do. So I show up very differently, and there's a balance there. So, and boundaries are important. So yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I love what you said about entering on the boundaries note, because that's something that I am noticing for myself. And boundaries have been a lifelong learning journey for me. There's been like many different spheres of my life where I had to shift and grow and upgrade and repair my boundaries within, just to be able to feel my own sense of sovereignty and freedom in each moment to do that which I love, you know, which is a big part of self-love, I think. For me right now, around boundaries, I'm noticing it's really important for me to be doing more accounting than I used to. Like in terms of literal account, like literally like, where is money going? Where is my energy going? Where is my time going? Like I've worked really hard to create a life in which I'm doing that which I love for the most part, and things that feel deeply aligned with like my unique genius in medicine, but still there can be just too much that you take on, you know? And then I think what many of us with all the changes the last 3 years find ourselves in various states of overwhelm right now. And so for me, it's been really important to be very conscious around the choices I make and not just get seduced into like the needs of others or even a vision that I really believe in, but think, okay, so how do I fuel this vision in a way that I'm not going to be martyring myself to do this? And also then, how do I also respect the things that don't necessarily matter to anyone, but matter to me, matter to my spirit, like in creating space and time for that in my day as well, even if there's not someone that's like waiting on it or you know, someone that needs it, because being in a healing profession, a lot of sometimes motivation can be around, oh, this person needs help or this community needs help, and trying to also let that motivation come from that deeper devotion to doing that which fills my heart, and that being equally important as others' needs.
Thank you so much for sharing. So next question, how does the experience of being a Black queer person impact the ways that you show love and compassion to yourself and to other people?
This question's been stumping me, but I came to the conclusion of I have had more experience as a Black person than a Black queer person. I've had more experience as a queer person than conjoining Black queer. When it comes to just me being a Black person, I had to learn, and really this is also with being a gay person as well. I had to learn to deprogram. I had to learn to deprogram every single thing that I was ever taught, that I ever seen, that society has ever said, that my family, friends, relatives has ever told me. I had to deprogram all of that. And by me deprogramming, that gave me the opportunity to reprogram new belief systems, new thought processes that are beneficial for me from where I'm at right now, compared to what is not serving me. Because a lot of the stuff that they taught us, it does not serve any of us. So it was about deprogramming all of that and reprogramming good beliefs, new beliefs, good thought processes.
Yeah, I completely resonate with that. 100%. Anybody else?
I wonder if, Androgeny Angel, if there's any particular belief you want to share that you realized you had to deprogram. I know pressure.
Oh gosh. My computer, hold on. My computer is acting really funky right now. There we go. Okay. Let me just turn the camera off. Oh gosh. A belief? Well, let's take it back to the church. The church teaches you homosexuality is a sin. But yet at the same time, they're teaching me this. But from what I've read in the Bible, that you know, we are all made in spirit's likeness, whether you want to say mother, father, God, spirit, source, whatever name that resonates. We are all come from its likeness. So if we all come from its likeness, how are you telling me that who I love is a sin? So I had to deprogram. because something's not clicking, something's not adding right. Somebody is putting their viewpoints involved in stuff that has nothing to do, that they shouldn't have put their viewpoint in. So for me, that's a good example. Did you need any other examples? I got tons of them.
That's great. Thank you. And as you were talking about that, it's just making me think about these intersections of identity, Black and queer. For me, I just remember one very pivotal moment around queerness itself. That, I mean, first of all, being a Black queer person, I experienced a lot of dysphoria early on in my kind of process of feeling into what it means to be like a queer person, going to like gay spaces and stuff like that, just because I didn't understand how white the spaces were that I was going into. Like obviously I saw it, but I didn't understand how much of like my own feelings of not being desirable, of being, not belonging there, were coming because of the racism inherent in those spaces and the white supremacy in those spaces. And so it took me a while before I found my way to like queer spaces for people of color, where that wasn't an issue. And then it was like being a different person. Like it was like, oh, actually, like I can meet other people that I like and that like me, and like I'm not like some person that is completely unlovable, Not that anyone is that person, but you know what I mean? Like it was this really strange feeling of being like an alien in those predominantly white queer spaces. But even that, and so then I'm untangling that stuff, and that's one challenge. Then the other challenge with queerness itself is people don't realize how many layers of unpacking it can take to root out the internalized homophobia. Especially like when I think hopefully it's maybe a little bit better for generations now, I don't know, but for when I was growing up, I went to school where I was like a peer LGBT educator. I was like president of the Queer Students of Color Club, but still I graduated from that college with so much fear and shame of myself and my own sexuality, even after all of that positive reinforcement. Because ultimately we can paste all these beliefs on top of ourselves, but the oldest beliefs win out. Like I was talking about my work, that the beliefs went out of the younger selves inside of us who are still holding those beliefs and learn them to survive. We have to really show up for them at the root to come back into coherence in our adult selves, like Adrian was talking about so beautifully, about moving backwards and forwards. So for me, I remember this moment, this one night where I went to this gay bar, and someone looked at me, or I looked at someone who thought they were cute, and then they looked at me and they seemed like they were maybe into me and maybe gonna come over and talk, and I felt total terror, and like I literally had a panic attack, like I had to leave the bar. My friend like came after me, and I realized I like slowed down, breathed, the meditation that everyone's been talking about. What I realized was there was a belief in me that if my desire is seen, I will die. And so I had to do some healing work over time to go back to the younger me's, that like when I was in elementary school, there'd be this game called like the faggot test, where someone would come up to you and they would like, a boy would like put their arm on your shoulder, and then if you didn't brush the arm off quick enough, they would say, oh, you're a faggot. And honestly, that never even happened to me because I was very perceptive, so I would just like push it off. And it's a great horrible way of like teaching men to never have physical affection together too. But I would see it happen to other people, so this fear was instilled in me. And I didn't realize till I had that panic attack and I went back and showed up for that younger self, I was still holding all that fear in my body, that it wasn't safe for my desire to be seen, even after all the positive reinforcement I got.
I'm noticing something, and it's based upon what you said, Langston, and what you said, Adrian. A lot of times when it comes to self-love, we have to, a part of self-love is healing that inner child. It's healing that inner child. It's reparenting yourself. And I don't think a lot of people really understand that that is a necessity. And really, that whole, how Adrian was saying, going back and forth, I wouldn't even say you were going back and forth. It was that you were healing yourself, you were healing your inner child, as well as healing that child from that age all the way up into the age that you're at now. So you were simultaneously healing yourself from a trauma that stemmed from childhood. And let's be real, most of the trauma that we do face, they all stem from childhood in one form or fashion.
Yep.
And so a lot of people really can benefit from inner child healing.
Mm. That actually brings me to my next question. What advice would you give to somebody who is struggling to love and accept themselves fully, especially in the face of, you know, societal messages that are telling them that they're not enough?
I would first, well, I got a couple of advice, a couple different advices for people. The first advice is to deprogram. To deprogram yourself from everything. Because once you deprogram yourself, you can start to figure out what is true for you, what is not true for you. You can start to really take off those masks that we all wear. The second advice I have would be shameless plug-in, but second advice I would have is doing different workshops. It's like I'm gonna be hosting a inner child workshop next month. Is going about and looking for different types of workshops that can help you. And then also I would suggest people looking into a self-love class. There's not a lot of them out there, but there are some out there. You know, my class starts in the fall semester. So I would suggest people looking for courses or just looking for workshops that help you out.
Mm. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Shameless plug. Anybody else want to hit that one?
I'll
Sure.
hit that right
Oh
quick.
yeah, you
I'm
go.
sorry. Go ahead, Langston.
No,
I'm
please
sorry.
go.
Okay. Well, stop me. Sorry, it's the cat. He's tripping. So when Mike asked that question, I was like, "What advice would you give somebody?" Well, I would talk to my inner child, right? One, I would say, don't wait. Don't wait. Go right towards that fear. Whenever we're presented with fear, well, for me, I always thought it would be the worst thing to face it and see what happens on the other side. But man, if I could just tell my inner child, go for it. Don't be scared. Like, face the fear and do it anyways. Like, yeah, I came out. Yeah, I experienced all these things. Yeah, I had shame. But who cares? Like, as long as I am okay with the decision in life I'm making, nothing else really matters. You know, if people don't want to accept me at whatever period, that's on them. They can take the time to grow and accept me where I choose to be now. I'll give you that space. Everyone needs time to grow. But I'll say, don't wait and face your fears. Face it as soon as you can, because you're gonna realize you let so much time go by without living in your truth. Like, all of my 20s, I wish I could have arrived at this place I'm in now. What a full of life I could have had if I wouldn't have been afraid. So yeah, devices, go for it. Just go for it.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Langston, you had something?
Yeah, this is all great advice. I mean, for me, one thing I think is really important is starting with just noticing, where do you tend to abandon yourself a bit? Like, where do you tend to find it most difficult to engage in that practice of self-love? So, because we all have different areas where it's maybe some of us, it's like just in our relationship, literally with ourselves. And others, it's like comes up in the sphere of relationship, maybe feelings of inadequacy or fear and intimacy. Some of us, it's more community or family. Some of us, it's more like religion or spirituality. So you might just see like, where is one place in my life that feels like a challenge right now? And starting in that sphere, not feeling like you have to do it all at once, starting to take small steps in that sphere to show up and begin bridging that gap. And also remembering that all of this starts by being in our bodies. So much of our culture right now is about like looking at our little phones or on Zoom screens. So starting with what practices when do I sort of leave my body? When am I dissociating a bit or spinning my energy up in my head? And what practices can help me to come back to feeling the wholeness of myself, connection with my physical body, and just showing to myself love in that way. I also think reading is really powerful for me in this journey. Like I'm a big reader. And so for one, there's a lot of beautiful literature, both like young adult literature, about, queer Black experience right now. So like, for example, like George M. Johnson's, All Boys Aren't Blue. There's a number of other titles aren't coming to my mind right now, but there's other books that are great. And just reading about other people that are going through similar experiences as you, I find is really helpful for cultivating that better context for yourself and doing the deprogramming that Androgeny Angel was talking about. There's also connecting to our ancestors, the ones who have come before. So like there's spiritual ways of doing that, but just through books, those are like time portals. So, reading things like James Baldwin, June Jordan, Audre Lorde, these Black queer ancestors that already did so much work to help us feel that love, because they knew we were coming. The love for the next generations of Black queer people. I also have a book, called Deep Liberation: Shamanic Tools for Reclaiming Wholeness in a Culture of Trauma, that is focuses a lot on different types of inner child work, which people call shadow work, and just techniques for grounding, maintaining healthy boundaries, all these things that allow us to, that we were talking about today, that allow us to deepen that sense of self-love as well. I also love Sonia Renee Taylor's book, The Body Is Not an Apology, another really excellent book on cultivating self-love.
Thank you for sharing those. That's some gems right there.
Yeah.
I love that. I love all the shares. When I was thinking about this question, similar to what Adrian kind of did, I was like, what would I tell like my younger self, my inner child, my younger me? And it would be, you matter. You simply existing, you living right now, you freaking matter. You matter. And connecting to that deeper part of yourself that, is yearning for that love, that wants that acceptance, giving that to myself. The society doesn't define me. Society does not tell me who I am. I tell me who I am. My little child, you matter. And that right there is like the starting off point. And to, okay, what beliefs are mine? Whose voice is this? Is this my voice or is that society's voice? Is that my parents' voice? Is it the church voice? Whose voice is that? And how is that serving me if it's not mine? And starting that inner work and that inner healing to come into the love and the acceptance and the compassion and the curiosity and all the beautiful things that all of you guys have shared. So that's good.
Yes, I totally agree with that too. I also thought about this question as if I was talking to my younger self, and I think for me it would be to tell myself to surrender, to surrender to what you may not know, and to do your best at just trying to become more aware and understand yourself a bit more, and much like what Langston said, yeah, just allowing yourself to I don't know, I guess to just figure yourself out, you know, and yeah, and not be afraid of what you may find, you know, not be afraid of those things that, you know, society might be telling you, oh, you know, who you love is wrong and who you are is wrong. Just to surrender to that idea that, you know, maybe it's right, you know. um yeah, it's really deep, this idea, this question. um yeah, thank you guys. Quincy, you got something?
Yes. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So when I think about this question, I think about my younger self, my transitional self, and myself now. That's why I put it there middle, high, middle, low, and that because my childhood trauma is always going to go. Okay, I'm like, baby, you. I will make sure that you foster that. Now my transitional self is myself now that liberates, that doing everything. So you can be at your highest point and go, thank you for that. You can be at the lowest point, and that pain is making you change the middle grounds and say, hey. Now the ground that I am now, I am is happy, I'm healthy, and I'm pushing forward. So I always go, my great grandma said there's a three, your child, your middle, your high, middle, and low self, and then yourself now. Make sure that you foster that transitional self because something gonna happen to you when you have to do a 180, 360, or that to say, okay, now the self I'm presenting now is my genuine self.
Mm, yeah.
Come on, bring the intergenerational wisdom. Thank you.
Okay. Period. So how can we create communities and spaces that are more supportive of people like us, and that promote that sort of self-love and self-acceptance?
I think a large part of creating community is having a shared vision that you're working to move towards, you know, being clear on that together and being in relationship with that vision, not versus like relying on one person to hold a vision that they're seducing other people into, everyone in the community holding that vision.
Mm,
And also um, having shared skills that you agree to practice and learn together for accountability, really to the heart and to each other. So we know we have different kinds of trauma that we're all working through. We know we're all at various stages of our development. So having practices in place that we're committed to learning and practicing together that allow us to, you know, pull back our projections, to
mm,
speak up if we've been hurt by something, and then to be willing to cultivate the resilience to stand in conflict together and versus like the moment conflict is created, leaving.
mm,
So to me, that's what's most important. We can learn the sort of heart and spiritual technology that allows us to stand in conflict together and find a way forward that meets both people's needs within that conflict.
mm. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Yes. Anybody else?
I would say just how you're hosting this space is hosting more spaces like this. People like you, people like Langston, people like Sharmain, people like Adrian, people like Quincy, people like me. We know that this is something that's needed. So it's that type of thing where if you know this is what's needed, then you have to put your foot forward. You have to step up and take yourself to that plate and say, okay, this is what I'm going to create. I'm going to create this space online for anyone to join. Also, just creating spaces in our local communities, even if it's, you know, let's say you go to your local LGBT community center. Even if they don't want to be a part of it, which 9 out of 10, they're going to be a part of it. It's just, okay, hey, do you have a space that I can rent out to have a group meeting for X, Y, and Z? Even if you don't go to the community center. I know there's a cafe that's down the street from my house. They rent out their office, their conference room for $15 for an hour. That's nothing. So it's continuously creating this type of space online and in our communities, that's how we can start building building more of a community, how we can build more of self-awareness when it comes to things in the community.
Absolutely.
Ditto Langston, ditto Androgeny. That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I want to thank you. Sorry, I just want to say quickly thank you, Androgeny, for reminding us of that. Not all of us have that community resources, but a lot of places do. And for me, I didn't speak about this, but one of my early parts of my spiritual journey and coming back to spirituality was a gay men's spiritual group that was at the LGBT community center in the city, that I could just go to and show up. It was by donation because it was very cheap to rent. And that was really instrumental in me finding my way on my path. So I think that is a really important resource for folks. Just to start somewhere, start trying to find other people to gather with around something that you care about, and just show up.
Absolutely.
If you build it, they will come.
Absolutely.
And just thinking about what Langston said, I grew up in Metro Detroit. We had our community center, but it was nothing to this extent because a lot of, no shade to my home, that's my home, but a lot of the people in the community at home, they're not thinking about spiritual. They're not thinking about inner child wounds. They're not thinking about any of that type of stuff. So I wasn't able to see stuff like this. And I'm turning 39 this year. And there's still not a lot of stuff like that where I'm from. There's not even a lot of places that's like that in Houston, where I'm located now. So that just makes it more important for people to really start coming out of their little dungeons and to come out and actually start creating spaces like this. Because this type of space here is what's needed. Because there's so many of us that don't have a sense of, let alone self-love, but have a sense of who they are on an energetic level and on a spiritual level. The only place that they know of is going to grandma and grandpa's church that's down the bayou. So having this space right here is vital. And we all need to start creating spaces like this.
I think also not being afraid to do so either, right? And not getting caught up in, if no one, and then that whole kind of, we're all leaders and in our own right. And so not being caught up with like, I want to reach the masses, but like, and again, just letting the fear kind of stop you and hold you back, so pushing through that and just creating it anyway, doing it anyway. And because we know the need is out there, we know that we want to be supported, we want to support others. And so just making sure that we stay connected to that space of wanting to create community and supportive spaces here and not being afraid and allowing the fear to hold you back. So I love being here today.
Yeah, I really appreciate this message of leadership, encouragement for people just to step up and lead and create community. But I think that yes, there's a truth to like creating, people will come, and it can be hard. People cannot come, not show up. I taught a class that is really skillful tools for deep inner work that I had trained a long time in. But I taught it for 2 years before I had people regularly showing up. I maybe get like 5-6 people, and then maybe half would drop off by the end of the class, And so I had to really just listen and pay attention to what people were needing, how to talk to people differently about what I was offering, and just keep learning over time. So also just encourage people, if you're someone that's wanting to keep showing up and creating these spaces, just keep learning and keep trying, just risk. And I do think people will come, but sometimes it's not right away all the time.
Yeah, sometimes it's not. That's where like, keep going. the little engine that could.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll add another facet of building the community is also it starts with yourself, like building your self-love, right? Because I know for me, anybody who is like assured of themselves, who has realized themselves, who has stand in their own truth and essence, I'm so drawn to those people. And I want to know, how did you get there? Like, how did you become you? And I feel like if we just show up, whether we're just at the grocery store or work, and we show up as ourselves and ourselves that we know is our true essence, it's gonna make a connection, and you're gonna impact someone, and it's just gonna be a trickle down effect. So the community also starts with building ourselves, and these spaces here aid into all of that. So we're gonna do it, y'all. We're doing it.
Yeah, you
shining that light bright. That's exactly what he's just saying.
mm,
Shining your light. As long as you shine your light at its optimal brightness, you're gonna attract everybody and anybody. Now, yeah, you're gonna attract some people that don't like your light, but that's okay. There's still something that they can learn. So yeah, shine your light bright.
yeah, I mean, I really admire people like Tabitha Brown, you know, people who really just you can see it, the love that she just has for herself, and that's how she was able to sort of just build the empire that she has, you know, just from truly being vulnerable, truly, you know, putting herself out there. You know, she's showing her stretch marks and all of this stuff, and she's just like, you know what, this is me, and you know, I love me, and I don't care if you like it or not, but I'm gonna love myself. And that sort of light, that energy just permeates, you know, through people, and they want to learn and they want to grow. And yeah, I 100% agree with that. And Adrian, you literally took the words right out of my mind, because that's exactly what I was going to say. So that's why we're together. um yeah, so does anybody have any, oh, Quincy, you have something?
Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna start bootlegging at this point and do the other phone. So, all of y'all had great points, and then also I be telling people at this time you need to occupy the space instead of taking the space. Occupying means that maybe like all y'all are eloquent. I ain't so eloquent at this point in time because I didn't got stabbed with 3 years later. I got HIV at 12, and now my case got dropped because they tried to um stereotype me, talking about all you buying drugs off the street and all that. And I told myself once that happened and I had a seizure after that, I said, fuck that shit. At this point, I got to be the James Baldwin on one end and the Byron Rustin was accept me. The James Baldwin was respect me. If you respect me and let me live my life, I can live on. If you absolutely accept me, then you combine the respect. And that means you want to know more about me. Don't pass me. Don't do that. And as occupying spaces, I tell everybody, I say, I'm gonna occupy space because there's someone more eloquent and talking to me or more for the space. I won't get all the hate or whatever because whatever that you think you want to do, I'm gonna burn some shit down on the James Baldwin side. And then like Brian Rustin said, be an angelical fighter. He didn't say how angelical you gotta be because I might be on the hold on the Byron Rustin side, burning down your dog family fits too. Cause fuck you too. Fuck your mama. Fuck who you praying to. Fuck you too. But that's but I occupy these spaces so people could come. And then when we all chain up the link, we go, fuck this, let's make our own space. Because now we know the secret, now we know this, and we all in community. So I was you know, in 2022, I was searching my feelings, talking about people ain't listening to me. I'm doing all this. Why I'm doing all this? I'm saying that it was my great grandmother that came to me and my mother's father because he got shot too, and I felt his presence. And they said, Quincy, you already have all this. You need some shut mouth grace. You need to sit there as able as you are. Show them your classy back. Show them your funny self. Show them that you've been doing this for the longest and you know how to do this. So maybe look back at yourself. But all y'all said since I looking back at yourself, and I said that's right. I got to take accountability for things I do and how I do it, and just sit back and just let them see you more and be like a bam. So never say I'm taking a space. Always say I'm occupying for the next generation because just like Black and Gay don't do nothing for the 18 years or longer. I said, I do something for 18 years or younger because we got to pass this stuff back to that generation so we don't get genocide. And that's what the white people trying to do. Oh, I'm the alphabet mafia. The fuck? I'm with y'all fucking. Y'all trying to kill me. The medicine hard. Y'all doing this. What the fuck? I said, first of all, we are 200 people. So I'm part of the alpha numeric. And fuck y'all too, motherfuckers. Because y'all so white in America. I'm not white in America. I'm disabled. Y'all getting more healthcare than me. Y'all got more access than me. And y'all still white. So I'm just trying to figure out. So I'm still occupying my space, know my culture, but I still occupy y'all spaces too, but I don't say the alphabet mafia. I'm alphanumeric. That's all I got to say. Just remember that.
Period. Thank you, Quincy.
That is a whole word. Thank you,
Look,
Quincy.
you know him saying this. I have to say this. When people think about spirituality, when people think about self-love, they think about the flower children, the flower generation. Oh, love and light. And this is the thing about love, is that you have your coddling love that, like Sinclair, woo, 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 woo. And then you have your tough love. And that tough love is, I may be of love and light, but I am not for the fuckery. That tough love is showing that boundary. Like, hey, you got so many times, and then I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna have to say something.
Mm-hmm.
So I need people to really understand when it comes to love and mastering love. Love is not always going to be, roses and peaches and cream and lollipops. Sometimes love is going to be that toughness where it's like, you got your ass whooped. And it's like, damn. So people really got to understand that. And we really have to debunk that lie. That's a lie that is permeating through society. We have to debunk that lie and let people know, hey, it's not always like this. It's
easy.
It's going to be a challenge. Nothing is ever hard, but it'll be a challenge.
Yes. So
yeah, I really appreciate that. I think anger is a huge part of love. That anger shows us when our boundaries have been dishonored, when our sovereignty is being threatened. And so the more we can listen to that anger in the moment, it'll tell us what we need to do to restore and repair those boundaries. As long as it's actually coming from the present moment versus the wounds from the past. So both, just that stepping backwards and forwards, like Adrian was talking about, we need to be doing the healing work so we can learn to trust our anger as a reliable source of information, act on it, like Quincy was just so beautifully sharing about occupying space for the next generations.
Yes, that's a whole word right there. So before we start closing, does anybody have anything they want to ask or anything they want to bring up? Or
yes, I got a question. How much are each of your services? I'm just saying this because I'm doing a dummy thing for the Black community, and I was telling everybody I want to buy a ticket for this, and I'm so sad. I'm really angry that more people didn't come, but understand that when it comes to, you said Queer Sunday School, they shocking them with religion, they shocking them with that, and not shocking like our community don't know that there's different. You don't gotta be spiritual and say religion in this. I'm spiritual in this way and that. So I told myself next month I'm gonna take each of y'all's thing and I told them, I said I'm gonna tell y'all the truth about it. If I don't like y'all, I'm gonna tell y'all I don't like y'all. Y'all didn't do shit for me. I'm just saying, but in other ways, they might do something for you. I'm just saying, I'm one of those customers. I've been a brand ambassador for the longest, and I tell people, no, 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 baby, you might not want to go to her. You might want to go to this person. But I want to know about each of y'all services and how much. If y'all gotta write me an email or whatever, I want to know how much because next month I'm gonna take each of y'all services and really go deep and really it might not be for me, but it might be for somebody else. And tell them like I took it, I pay for everything regular, and I'm telling y'all that this is a person that y'all need. It might not be for me, but it might be for you. So that's the first thing. And also, thank you for this panel. Thank you all y'all for doing this panel.
Oh my gosh, I freaking love you, Quincy. God, I love you. But to answer your question, the service that I do provide, it's called a self-love party. It's on Zoom, it's 2 hours, and it's all about self-awareness. So we're going to be doing different activities that deal with self-awareness when it comes to how you think, how you perceive yourself. How long are you how long are you pissed off? Like, we need to be really aware of that. It's like you said, Langston, it's okay to be mad, but how long are you gonna hold on to that? Another service that I will be starting to provide in the fall semester is my self-love classes, where it's going to be a semester-long class, and we are going to dive in deep in self-love. We're going to start taking off the masks. We're going to start deprogramming. We're going to start reprogramming. So I'm excited for that, as well as my workshops. So I have a workshop on April 15th at 12 p.m., and that is called Inner Child Blues, Tips to Heal Your Inner Child. So I will be having workshops every month, as well as my blog that I just posted on Friday. No, I'm sorry. I posted it on Thursday. And that is on my website, which is selfloveorganics.com. And I will actually type in my Linktree information, and it has everything that you need to know as far as the workshops, the classes, the websites, you name it.
Period. Thank you, Androgeny.
I'll go ahead and answer that too, Quincy. Thank you for asking. I'll also put my details in the chat as well. But one of the things that I offer is one-to-one coaching. So I have a couple of different packages that are either 1 month long or 3 month long packages where I coach people weekly. I also have a healing and growth meditation circle on Tuesday nights. That's every week. Yeah, Androgeny's been coming to that every week. So, and that's available. That's Tuesday nights, and it'll be in the link. I'm also a moonology reader. So I look at your natal chart and look at your moon placement and using the lunar cycle to help you navigate any goals or manifestations that you want to work with. So that is something that I also offer. And I do have a masterclass coming up in April, kind of teaching people how to connect to their intuition and trusting and cultivating that. So I will put my details in there and you can check that out as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Quincy. Your presence is really a gift. And thanks for asking. So for me, the three main services I offer are ancestral healing work, helping people to really make a deep connection with their own ancestors, and do lineage repair of trauma that's sort of been passed down from generation to generation. Then I also do the deep liberation work I was talking about, which is that deep inner work of showing up for our many younger selves that are caught in sort of these choices we made to survive, and freeing up our energy there, and potentially bringing in other things like divination, qigong, energy work to help support people with that as well. And then I also do shamanic healing work, which is more like very spiritual side of the work I do, which is me going into a trance state, working with guides and helping spirits to bring back, you know, aspects of people they lost, or other types of deep healing work. And I also teach classes as well. So all that can be found on my website, which I'll link here. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, beautiful question, Quincy. Thank you so much for asking. So anybody else have anything they want to ask or any final thoughts before we close out?
I just want to say this has been such a wonderful introduction to the Queer Sunday School. I know this is the first kind of installation, but I am truly grateful and honored to be a part of this first discussion panel. This has been absolutely amazing. All of you guys have dropped some amazing gems, and I'm just so grateful to be connected with all of you. So thank you for the invite, and just thank you.
I agree. I'm so pleased. I'm so happy and thankful. Everybody who needed to be here is here right now. So if there's no one else who has anything to say or yeah, Langston's gonna close us out with a meditation prayer.
Okay, wonderful. So I'll start with a little meditation and then we'll close with a prayer. So you can just get comfortable and just start by taking a few breaths together. Tuning to the feeling of your body being supported by the earth, rising up to hold you and meet you. Feeling the air on your skin. And then gently turning inwards and taking a deep breath into your head. A deep breath into your heart center. And a deep breath into your belly. And I want to invite you to move your awareness into the inner landscape of your heart. Really turn up all the dials in your imagination and your senses and just move into that space, imagining you standing there inside your heart. And just notice what your heart feels like today. Notice what the weather's like in your heart today. Notice what quality of light you sense there. If it's really bright or maybe a little dark or somewhere in between. And let it begin to form into a landscape if it's not already. Like, what are the plants and animals like inside your heart? What kind of ecosystem is it? And as you stand there inside your heart, I want you to just take a moment to be with whatever's there exactly as it is, not trying to change it or fix it or judge it. And if you notice other feelings coming forward, then compassion and curiosity, just invite those selves forward as well. Like if there's you that's a little sad or judgmental, whatever the feeling is, just invite them forward and let them know they're welcome too. That it's all okay, it's all welcome here. You can just notice if there's anyone else that's wanting to come into this space with you, maybe a younger self. Just letting whoever wants to join you in that space of your heart to meet you there. And see if you can just direct your care to those selves in this moment. Again, not trying to fix them, just being with them as they are. Being the kind of loving, kind adult you would have wanted, showing up for you when you were younger. Noticing if any one of them have a message for you in this moment. If your heart itself just has a message in this moment. Just listening, noticing. Message might not be in words, it might be in physical sensations or emotions or memories or images. Just opening. And now feeling all of those gathered there in your own heart and your love directed towards your own heart. Just begin to tune into that love that's all around you. The love of the earth that tells you that the fact that you are here on earth means you have a right to be here and take up space. Not everyone gets a body on earth. So feeling that love of the earth that chose you to be here now to bring your medicine. And feeling that love of your ancestor helping spirits, all those well ones. You know, if we go back far enough in any of our lineages, we all have well ancestors who sacrificed, who prayed so that we would be here now, bringing our medicine into the world. Feeling that love that never dies of all those who went before you and dreamed of you being here. And feeling that love of the big you, your spirit, that care and love your own spirit has for you, and joy it has in you choosing to be here on earth with a body as that spirit. Just accepting that love, letting it be in your body as big as it wants to be. Even if it's a little uncomfortable, a little stretchy, just really breathing it in. Thanking that love. We honor you, love. Thank you for shining through us. Thank you for moving through us in the form of our gifts. We honor you, ancestor helping spirits. Continue to guide and watch and protect all those on this call and all those listening after. Help them to be resourced in all that they do. Help them to feel the love that is always available to them. Help them to always remember that that deep sense of self-care and love is only one breath away. We thank you, Earth. Please send the signs and synchronicities and magic, coincidences, chance encounters that remind us of the beauty that we are, remind us of the medicine that only we can share, that remind us that we are an essential part of life and that we are always connected, that we can't help but be in relationship and connection all the time. We can never be alone. Thank you each for choosing to come to Earth at this time and bring your medicine. May the roads be open for it to be shared abundantly in the world. Ashe. Amen. So be it. See to it. Thank you so much, everyone. It's really wonderful to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Ashe, amen. Wow. Wow. Well, everyone, if all hearts and minds are clear, we'll see you guys next week. Thank you all so much for being here. This has been absolutely incredible. And yeah, I'm filled with so much love and compassion. And yeah, I really appreciate all of you for your input, for your love, for your conversation. This has just been absolutely amazing. Okay, everybody. Until next week.
Thank you.
Hold on, y'all. Hold on, y'all. I gotta meet somebody. Come on, you gotta hurry up. I told you. I'm Little Quincy, and Little Quincy's want to say purpose matter, and just remember that if you want any service from, we don't do services, just we suppose out here. Shit, on Digger mate, no please. If you would like a service, there's no oral or this message, they'll talk to Quincy. Or pimp, he's getting pimped his own self, but just talk to Quincy. I tell you. I'm sorry for that. These puppets have mind that I don't give them a personality. I just stick my hand up and they just go off themselves. So apologies for that message.
Thank you, Lil Quincy.
Thank you, Lil Quincy. We love it.